When you say, I want this, you offer a signal about it which law of attraction begins to match. When you say, I don't want this, you offer a signal which law of attraction begins to match. So when you say, these things I like, but these things I don't like, you're sending out mixed signals. When you say, I want something, but I do not have it. When you say, I need it to be this way, but it is this way. You are offering signals not only about what you want, but about what you don't want, contradicting your own vibration, putting yourself in a state of resistance, law of attraction answering everything that you're offering, and then your life is sort of a muddle. And then you say, my life is a muddle because those people are doing things that I don't want them to do. And we say, you can't make them stop doing those things. In fact, the harder you push against the things they're doing, the more they do those things. Because you activate within yourself a vibration that literally gives them the current with which to do those things. If you want something to go away, you must withdraw your attention from it. And this is opposite of what most humans understand. Most humans really believe that if they can gather up their forces and push their forces against something unwanted, that they will defeat what is not wanted. And they are so short-sighted in their ability to see it doesn't go away. It gets bigger and squirts out in another place and squirts out in another place and squirts out in another place and squirts out in another place. So if you decide that your happiness depends upon somebody else coming into agreement with you, you've got a long, hard task ahead of you. But if you discover that your agreement, the only agreement that is needed, is the vibrational agreement within you, and then you work to align your own energies, now you are vibrationally pure. And by that we mean you're sending a signal about what you want, not a signal about what you want, don't want, don't want, don't want. The universe hears you. Please bring me that, not that, not that, and that, not that, not that, not that, now. And so what the universe brings you is that, because there is no not in this vibrational universe. There's no exclusion in this vibrational universe. You can't shout no at something without the universe hearing yes. When you say, please bring to me this thing I want, this thing you want is activated within you and coming to you. When you say, please bring not this thing that I abhor, you're saying yes to this thing that you abhor, because there is no such thing as yes or no. There is only yes, 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 yes. Your words do not matter. Sometimes you can get words that are meaningful to you, and you can speak words that will evoke from you feelings. Affirmations are offered in that way because sometimes if you say something long enough, you begin to believe it. But what we notice for the most part is that the way you feel is an absolute response to the vibrational core of that which you are emanating. And that vibrational emanation is what is being matched by law of attraction, and your words, frankly, mean very, very little. You want your words to mean a lot. You want to get all puffed up. You want to make strong statements. You want to use eloquent words to push against one another. But what happens is you just keep watering down your own vibration. So then what happens is the muddle of a vibration that you emanate equals the muddle of life experience that you live. And then most of you are wanting to give somebody else the credit for your muddle. And we're wanting you to understand that your only true empowerment will come in the realization that your muddle is yours, and that you have control over your clarity or your muddle. You have the ability to line up with things wanted, or line up with things not wanted, or line up with a combination of all. And what you discover in that which you manifest is that what you are thinking and feeling and what is manifesting is always a vibrational match. You came forth into this physical experience, this leading edge physical experience, knowing the value of it, knowing the deliciousness of interacting with others and helping each other be stimulated to new ideas and personal preferences. And you knew out of your interaction with each other that you would collectively and individually conclude things that were personally important to you. And you were excited about doing that because then, as you were making your entrance into physical experience, you knew something that many of you seem to have forgotten. You knew that when you ask, it is always given. You knew that your personal preference would be honored. You knew that if it was important enough to you that a desire be born within you, that source energy would grant you access to circumstances and events that would fulfill that desire. You knew that. And you did not feel competition of others. You did not worry that if you asked for something and it was given to you, that you would, in receiving it, deprive someone else of something that they might want. And in like manner, you weren't worried that they'd get the stuff either. You knew that when anyone asks, that it is given. And you knew that this universe is big enough to accommodate all desires. And you never for a moment thought that you would have to come forth into this physical experience and defeat a whole bunch of others in order to win what you wanted, because you understood the infinite supply of resources, because you were at that point standing in the knowledge of that which you call God force, in the knowledge of that which you call creative life force. You knew who you were then, and so you were not afraid. You were not afraid of someone running over you. You were not afraid of getting left out of the mix. You were not afraid that somebody else would get more than their fair share. You were not afraid that there would be some evil force that would take things over that you would need to stand and defend against. You knew better then. You knew that source energy flows, and you knew that you were of that source energy, and you expected good things to come to you. And so you said, I will go forth into this time-space reality, and I will don my personal perspective that I view through the eyes of self. And you knew that through the eyes of self that you would conclude preferences that were important to you, and you knew that when the preference was concluded that you would radiate a vibrational signal of request and that source would answer it, and you expected to be part of the leading edge force that would take thought beyond that which it has been before. You never once said, I will go forth and clean up this mess. You never once said, I will go forth and convince those that are wrong-minded to think the right way. You never once said, this space isn't big enough for all of us, so we will kill those that do not agree. You never once said, I am so powerless that I need to gather together with armies of others to push against those that disagree, because from that non-physical perspective, you knew your power, you knew your self-empowerment, and you did not feel envy or jealousy of others who had self-empowerment, because you knew it was equally offered to all. And you said, what a glorious time-space reality that I could go forth into, where my ideas will be stimulated, and when my idea is born, all I have to do is be true to my own idea. And as I align with my own idea, the resources of the universe will be given to me, and my idea will come to fulfillment for the personal satisfaction of that which is me, the perceiver of my idea. You have within you a guidance system that lets you know in every moment how well you are tending to your connection between who you are and who you are. You are source energy in a physical body. And when you allow yourself to be the source energy that you really are, you radiate confidence, you radiate clarity, you radiate love, you radiate well-being, you thrive. You are well-balanced, you have flexibility, your body is thriving, your mind is clear, your words flow easily, you feel really good, you laugh often, you love easily, you appreciate much, you thrive in all manner of being. When you allow yourself to be who you are, you thrive. And you don't worry about somebody else thriving and getting your thriver. You don't see someone else thriving and worry that, oh, they're thriving too much. They're going to use up the stream of thrive. Instead, you understand that thriving is about connection, and connection is about alignment, and alignment is about tending to the way you feel. It's about thinking thoughts and acknowledging the way the thought feels, and then adjusting the thought so that it helps you to line up you with you. We love seeing you here in these physical bodies, recognizing the guidance system that is within you. We want to talk about that here today, because we see so many of our friends who are physical humans who are setting aside the guidance that comes forth from within and trying to replace it with someone else's version of what they ought to be doing. And what happens with that is that there are so many others who have different opinions about what you ought to be doing, which adds to the confusion of the vibrational mix that you're offering. One says go this way, one says go this way, one says this is better, another says this is better. And what almost all of you fail to recognize, and this is the most astonishing thing of all, is that every one of them is speaking about what they think you should do to satisfy their personal perspective. So in essence, what they're saying is you should set aside your personal perspective and you should follow mine, which matters more. And we say, or not. Nobody's perspective matters more than yours because nobody can tend to your vibrational countenance. Nobody can adjust the vibration of you. Nobody else has their hand on the lever or on the valve that controls the degree to which you allow your alignment or not. And when you let someone else guide you so that you're not paying attention to your own alignment with Source, you can get mixed upside down and all around to the degree that you do not know what to think about anything. And then you're just listening to the loudest voice. And the loudest voice, we've got to tell you, can get pretty obnoxious because that loudest voice always comes from a basis of fear. The loudest voice never comes from this place of security and acknowledging freedom and alignment with Source energy. The loudest voice always comes from the place of the greatest fear. And then you listen to the loudest voice that is coming from the place of the greatest fear, and then you wonder why things are not working out so well when you follow the loudest voice. And we're wanting you to understand that it's not the loudest voice, it's the consistent voice. It's the voice that does not waver. It's the voice that never stops saying to you, you are worthy, and you are love, and you are well-being, and you deserve to live well. It's the voice that never stops saying, well-being abounds, and Source energy flows. And if you will work to align with the vibration that feels like that, you must thrive. And no one can ever take your thriving away from you. No one can take your freedom away from you. But freedom is a perceived thing because freedom is the way you feel in response to the vibration that you've activated, which comes in response to what you're choosing to think about. In other words, there's this emotional scale. We like to call it the vibrational or emotional scale. And it is the cornerstone of your awareness of your connection with that which is your source. It's the way you feel. On one extreme, you feel empowered. On the other extreme, you feel disempowered. On the one extreme, you feel love and joy. On the other extreme, you feel depressed. And when you think about it, these emotions that range from love and passion and appreciation and joy that might move into more resistant stages of optimism or hopefulness or pessimism, that might move even into more resistant stages of frustration and overwhelmment, which might move into even more resistant stages of anger or more feelings of disempowerment that you might call discouragement or fear, or even more that you might call depression or true disempowerment. Notice that those emotions on this emotional scale all are about your perception of freedom or lack thereof. When you feel fear, isn't the basis of that fear that you are feeling disempowerment? Aren't you acknowledging that the fear that you are feeling has at its basis a feeling that somebody else has the power to do something to you that you don't want? Isn't disempowerment at the heart of all negative emotion? It is. The feeling that my freedom is being subverted or taken from me is at the heart of all negative emotion. A child who rebels is someone who has been convinced that he is not free, who is born with desire and knowledge of his absolute freedom, and somehow something has happened and he doesn't feel free, and he's making his best effort at gaining his freedom back. And we say, good for you, we'd throw a fit too. If we perceived ourselves not to be free, it would be equivalent to having someone press a pillow over one of your faces when you need oxygen to survive. In other words, you cannot bear the perception that you are not free. But we want you to understand that freedom or lack of it is only a perception, and we know that there are those who would argue. But you've got to look at the bigger picture, and you've got to understand where it starts. You cannot ever not be free when you know you are. Because when you know you are free, no one can frighten you. When you know you are free, no one can motivate you to action from a place of fear. When you know you are free, you stand in a vibration of freedom. You emanate a strong signal of freedom. Law of attraction sets up circumstances and events that confirm your freedom, and you are free.